You see here, hi guys and gals. Well, another one of those lunch break vlogs. Let me see if I can get this little thing on a little mini tripod. Okay, it's a little bit better. Yeah, the other day I was going through some old newspapers on internet. I like that. There's a site, well, you probably know it's on the Google Archives. And you can get to watch, look at old newspapers. They've scanned most of them, made PDFs. I've even made a video, probably a couple of years back now, showing some. And I fell on this. Okay. Actually, one thing's kind of interesting before I get to the story is the shoe sale. Yeah, shoes. This is 1955, by the way. And it was like $3.95 Canadian for a pair of shoes, anyway. So a bit cheaper than they are now, I guess. But what had caught my attention is this paper is the Granby Leader Mail. So Granby is in the Eastern Townships in Quebec, and was kind of like the big city compared to where I used to live in Sutton and when I was a small child in Abercorn. Now there was a story here that said you can just kind of fit it out. I guess, let me see, Sutton man badly burned. I don't know if you can actually. Doesn't matter, because you can't really read it. But I saw that and I thought, oh, 55, that's 2 years before I'm born. What are they talking about? So somebody's walking through. So I looked up what they were talking about, and I saw the guy's name. So I won't mention his full name, but his first name was Royce. And they were wondering if he was on fire, and somebody called, and they put the fire out, and they said something like, I did write it down quickly, that they were wondering if it was, he was seriously burned, and they were wondering if it was by accident or by design. Now that's kind of funny, because first off, by that means that he must not have told. There must have been an inquiry going on there, because you just don't throw gasoline, is what it seems to have said here, on somebody. And why I'm bringing that up is that many years later, as a student working to pay his way through college, I worked with this Royce. Royce was a very, very interesting person. He lived literally on the wrong side of the track. In Sutton, where we used to live, there were houses along the train track, and those were the slums. Those were where the poor, down and out people had to live. And it seems that Royce was one of those. So we would work together. I would work on Friday evenings and weekends, or in summer vacation. And one of my jobs there was cleaning the oil off of, this is in a textile plant, but cleaning the oil off of the parts of certain machines that had been taken apart. So, a highly qualified job, put it that way, and a highly messy one as well. So I was working with Royce, and we were talking. What else do you want to do when you're getting black and black and black with all the grease and doing your best? And Royce used to talk like, I was going to say, as like a Harvard graduate. He had a very good vocabulary, spoke well, had a lot of good discussion subjects. And I remember always hearing, Royce lives in the slums, and he's a poor guy, and so on. And I've always wondered, how people can judge. You have to excuse me right now. Actually, there's so much pollen in the air that it's difficult not to sneeze right now. Excuse me. Well, that's online for posterity. Okay, well, this Royce, like I was saying, he was always an incredibly interesting person. I remember him talking to me about his, about going to school and stuff like that. And he had mentioned something about being burnt when he was young, but he didn't get into details. And I've just now found this article. Isn't it funny, how people can get very quickly I would say you can get an impression of someone, and you've heard, and when you get close to the person, that's a completely different impression. He was a good talker, I have to say. There's a little story there. It's like my dad had a car that was really at its end. You know, there was basically rust holes everywhere. And he sold the car to Royce. So Royce and his family came over and picked up the car, our place, and they had a little dog. And the car that they had before, and that's right, the car they had before, the dog could basically go in and out. I might be getting that story wrong, actually. It was the car that they had that had all the holes, the rust holes and everything. Yeah, right. And the dog that they had was going in and out of that car through the rust holes. Our car was old, but not in that state. Yeah, got to get it right. My dad's going to be listening to this video, and they'll correct me on that one. Yeah, just a little bit of reminiscing, going through. Like these things. And when I go through these leader mails, there's always these gossip columns, and it's always fun in a way because I can see little bits of the village where I was brought up in, stories that I've heard sometimes from my parents that come out differently. Of course, the story is the same, but the way it is in the newspaper, and the activities, that were around the period when I was born. Yeah. Have you ever had that chance? It's part of our makeup, isn't it? What we've heard when we're young, what we've heard that tells us who we are. And I like to go back to these old things. Sometimes also you get a hint of how life was. You see in those old newspapers what the movies were, and what the price of a car was, and things like that. Anyway, just a little bit of spending my time at lunch with you guys. People walking over there, kind of funny. People always wonder, I guess, why there's this guy sitting there with a camera and just talking to it. Doesn't make much sense, does it? Oh well, it's life. DC signing off. Take care, and hope you have a good Wednesday, hump day.